We're going to record.
All right.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night shift. We are excited to have you here. And I'm processing. Are we going to go with that question? Are we rolling with it? Okay. So Carrie asked the question before we started the recording. What do you struggle most within your bit? What do you struggle? I struggle with English the most in your business. And what do you do to overcome that? So while I process that, does anybody want to go first? Melissa, you're unmuted. Front forward.
I'll go. So recruiting is what I struggle with the most. And what I've run into is it isn't that I'm not offering the opportunity. It's that, and it's that I'm good at what I do and people don't think they can do what I do because I'm good at it. And so sometimes I make it look like it takes too much to do this business. And even though I try to keep things simple, there's parts of my business that I absolutely love. And so I don't want to change it, but it can have negative effects on growing because, so like we want to spoil our customers, right? We want to spoil them. We want to make them feel good, but they then don't want to stop being our customer and start their own business because of it. They'd rather just be spoiled by me. Have I mastered I haven't. I don't even have to ask. I haven't mastered the fine line of doing what I love and making them feel good and doing just enough to be able to convert them to a team member. And so have I overcome it? No, I'm 13 years in and I still struggle with it. And I don't know. I don't think I've solved the issue, and I don't think that I'm going to stop doing what I do because it's what I love about what I do. So I don't know. It's probably relatable and has no resolve. So I don't even give you like a solution, but it's because I'm still trying to work through it. But truly, it's my customers, my hostesses don't want to not be my customers and hostesses. And so that's a pro and a con.
I can totally relate to that, Melissa. In fact, I think I just said that on a training call the other night, which I'm going to kind of piggyback off on her because I would classify myself as a overachiever. I would say I am extra. I do many things very quickly and I get shit done. Let's just say that. Okay. So I think one of my downfalls is people seeing me do so much. But two-part, I get distracted by helping too many people, and I need to be laser focused on my team and helping those. I need to be better at teaching duplicatable systems that my new team members can duplicate and pass. So when I start getting distracted on all these other aspects where it's not bringing me new team members, I need to stop even worrying about annual sales. Like that award means nothing because ultimately the only thing that's going to get me where I want to go in this business is sponsoring. And I need to be so laser focused on annual mentor award first, bringing new teamies on, training them duplicatable systems where they can do the same. And I get so distracted by all the recognition and the bigger you get, the harder it is to juggle all the balls. And I think it's important for everybody to realize you're only human. You're one person. I don't have an assistant. Well, I take that back. I had a girl that came for 2 hours yesterday and helped me put together new team member packets because I physically am one person and can't do it all. But from the outside looking in, it does look like we have all of our crap together and it looks like we are just juggling it all. And we're not. We're dropping the balls, but we keep a positive outlook and we keep a smile on our face because I don't want to be depressed and upset about it, but I think it's staying that laser focused on truly what's going to get me to my success. And that only has to do with sponsoring and training a really good duplicatable system.
But at the same time, Heather, because I know you can relate to this, it's hard to sacrifice what we love about our businesses in the name of, growing and all of the good things that come from it. So you have to kind of find that happy medium where you're still filling your own cup, because if it becomes something that you are just robotic about,
Yeah.
and emotionless and not relationship oriented, it's going to backfire as well. So I think we're all works in progress. The entire whole journey is a work in progress. And so
It's okay to drop balls. You drop balls in every job. It's
all the time.
if you're
And
not
we don't
dropping work balls, you're dropping family balls. You're giving up something to give to something else. There's always something you're sacrificing.
This isn't I wasn't going to go next because I still don't really know which thing I want to choose. There's a lot of them. But I was thinking about several years back. Heidi did her convention speak. It was the year that Sarah graduated high school. Her first child went off to high school or to college. And she was talking about balance, right? And the fact that there is no balance. Like we are all seeking that and it's not real. It really doesn't exist because just like Heather said, if you're focusing on this one, you're dropping something here. If you're doing something here, it reminds me of Jen's story when she started and she's like, the dishes were piling up and Eric was kind of a single dad because I was here, I was there, I was doing all these things, right? And luckily she had the support system that allowed that, but balance almost doesn't exist. I definitely could do better at recruiting. Haven't found the resolve. Honestly, I know what the resolve is. The resolve is I have to get out from behind my computer. Yes, you can grow on social media. Yes, you can do that. Yes, I know that. And I could show up in that way. But really, it's going to be having real conversations and meeting new people. And the only way to do that realistically and easily, because social media is a consistency thing. Like you have to be good. You have to be on. You have to be consistent. You have to be showing up in that aspect, is to get out from behind my computer. And so if you're home or you're not going out and meeting new people and you're like some of us, myself included, stuck in that, then I know what I need to do, but I haven't done it. So there's that. Because I'm also here trying to juggle all the balls that are here and I'm putting too much focus on them and not the ones that are out there.
All right, I'm going to jump in just because I want to go after Kelly, I guess. I agree everything with what Melissa, Heather, and Kelly said. Like from the outside, a lot of times it looks like other consultants, whether it's us or somebody else that you might look up to, looks like they have it all together, but we are always learning. We're always trying to do better. We're always trying to grow personally as, as a leader and as a consultant. Like sometimes, I still think of myself every single month. I start over as basically an essential consultant. So I'm still trying to do all of those things, meaning I'm still trying to run my business and learn the things, but I'm also trying to be a really good leader and, set an example for my team, my group, and show my kids that you can work from home and be your own boss, but you have to be structured, you have to be dedicated, and you have to do all of these things. And sometimes it's easier than other times. And I struggle with many things. And I think for me, one of the things I don't know if fear is the right word, but that fills me with so much doubt is my team community and bringing them together and offering trainings. I do not feel adequate in training at all. I can get on a call like this, thankfully, with other people and we bounce off each other. It makes it much, much easier. But for me to just come up with a training, I struggle with that a lot. So I've always felt kind of like I failed my team in that aspect, that I just don't know how to train, or that I don't have enough value, or what I have to say isn't really going to be helpful to anybody. So that's something that I'm always constantly trying to work on and improve. And I think all of us can say the same thing. No matter what we struggle on, it doesn't mean we quit, right? Sometimes we get burnt out and we vent to other people, or we say, what can I do to improve on this? And we look for other books, motivational speeches, taking some time off. All of those things are totally okay, as long as you don't allow the burnout to last too long. Because if you had a regular 9-to-5 job, regardless of how you felt, you'd have to show up. And this is no different. You need to show up for yourself and your team. So that's my struggle.
I can go if you're not ready, Jill. So I'm sitting here, I have two that I really super struggle with. And I feel like if I were talking to a bunch of of directors and above, I would say one. So I think I'm going to go with the second one. And mine comes from, it was somebody had a tough love conversation with me. It was Patty Lynch, and I love her to death. And she said to me one day, Jen, I never want to work as hard as you. I never want to do what you do. And I was like, what? Because to me, I have such unshakable belief in this company that I know that every single person can literally be extremely successful, extremely successful. You can make as much money as you want. You can literally write your own paycheck. And I believe that with every piece of my being. And it's really hard for me sometimes to understand and relate to people who just don't have that kind of belief or don't have that kind of faith in themselves. And so I struggle with that because I feel like, don't give up. Like I get frustrated with people who are like, oh, I can't do that. I can't I can't. So yeah, that's a big struggle for me. And so for people to look at me and think, oh, I could do what she does, or, it's exactly what Heather and Melissa said. It's just a different piece of it. Mine isn't because I'm creative, because I'm not. So I'm good with that. Like,
Sorry, unmute Jen. I muted you because somebody else
oops,
unmuted it.
no problem. So I just, I don't ever have to worry about thinking that people are going to look at what I do and think, oh, I could never do that, because they would never have that thought looking at me. But they do look at me and think, oh, she's way too confident. She's way too, you know what I mean? And it's not that I am, it's that I believe so strongly. And I just wish that everybody else could believe as much as I do. So I really definitely, that has been since day one. Patty Lynch was my first recruit in 2008, and I still today struggle with that.
I just have to add on to that real quickly before Jill, you go, is I think a lot of times people will see us all working or showing up and doing different things, and then they have that same mindset of like, I don't want to work the way that they do. But what I think that a lot of times isn't seen or experienced is the fact that we take time to do the things that bring us joy, right? And we can do that. Jill, I'm going to say, you got your eyebrows done today, right? You were able to do that in the middle of the day, and you're here tonight doing a training. And so it's more of that freedom, flexibility that looks like maybe we're working really hard then because we do have big aspirations and big goals and we want more. But yet here we are at 7, some 8, 9 o'clock at night, right? Along with you guys doing a training, because that's how the flexibility works. So it's just not sometimes always seeing the full picture of the joys that come with the hard work.
Yeah, I love all those things. I think I'm glad they all went first, because I literally struggle with all those things as well. Something that I hear a lot of people say, and I think I remember when my company closed down and I was starting to work from home, and probably a lot of you guys can relate, is believing that this is a real business and a real job, and getting ready for life to hit. Life is going to hit, whether it's health, death, wellness, whatever, things are going to hit, and you're still responsible for your own business. You can't, I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, I didn't do that this month because life hit. Life's always going to hit. You're always going to be busy, in, out, here, there. I mean, I use Jen as an example. I mean, she probably goes to 85, I feel like, football games, ball games, all this stuff all the time. And you're running in and you're doing a little bit of work and running here and running there. So, and that took me a long time, and I still struggle with it, whether things are happening in life or health issues. And it's easy to be like, well, I'll just work on that Wednesday because, life, and I deserve this. So, or I'm going through something. And I like what Callie said, the flexibility of taking a minute to go through or do whatever you need to do, but you still have to realize that if you want to get far in this business, that it's still a business, and you've got to get in your office and you've got to do the things. Also, my other thing would be is squirrel syndrome, I guess, seeing one system, applying this, going here, buying that. I have piles of stuff that I want to send to my team because someone did this and someone did that. And you don't follow through in weeks, and stuff's been sitting there for months. Like, you need to really try to finish one thing at a time. And that's a work in progress, because I still see something cool and I want to apply it right then. And then it all just piles up and we end up with a hoarding situation. So I would really maybe write down the ideas instead of going on Amazon, buying everything and having good intentions. But then you can tend to get overwhelmed really fast, and then you're not focused on building your business or your own sales. So if you can work like Heather and you can buy something, apply it, and mail it, then that would be great. But I am not like that, and things tend to build up, and then I'm all over the place and I feel overwhelmed, and then I do the horrible thing of not doing anything. So I think those are two things that I definitely work on a daily basis.
Jill, that is like another thing I struggle with. I hope what you're getting from this is we're like, oh yeah, everything that they said and this and this and this is because none of us have it really perfectly figured out and perfect. We're all still learning and growing years later. Like, there's the basics, the fundamentals, right, that we all understand and know and that type of thing, but we still have struggles and we still have areas to improve. And If you think that somebody has it together, they're just putting on a really good show for you, because I can promise you that 99.9% of people could go around a circle just like this and we would all be like, oh yeah, that and this. Maybe you have this under control, but I was, as Jill was saying, you have to I'm not good. I buy things and then I have a pile of it. I literally right now am digging myself out of a pile so I can move and be under the weight limit to move my house, because I buy things, but I don't send them out. So if that's you, I have a rule now. I cannot buy anything until that last project that I purchased is out the door, because then it can't pile up. So that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, so tonight we have kind of a different topic. Oh, Melissa, go ahead.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
Now that all of us have spoken, I would say I would much rather have a panel of leaders saying that they have struggles, they don't have it all figured out, they don't have it all nailed. Because if we all sat up here and we're like, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Why aren't you doing what we're doing? You would feel so inadequate. I would feel so inadequate if I had a panel of leaders sitting in front of me that were like, well, I don't know what's wrong with you, but we're doing just fine. It's hurry up, get up, come on, sell, recruit. And that's not. And the fact that you have a panel of leaders that have been with this business for 10, 12, 13, 14 years and are saying we learn something new every day, we are continually challenged, and we're continually growing, both personally and professionally in business. And so I would much rather be amongst leaders and other consultants with that mindset and that than the latter. So, or the prior, whichever. But anyhow, so you know what I mean. And also, I just want to say one more thing. Don't sacrifice what you enjoy doing in this business, because that is how you lose your sense of self and you feel lost and will question why you're doing it, why you continue to get up and do this. You have to have the joys and the things that you enjoy doing and that you love doing, whether it's Zooming with friends on a daily basis while you work separately, or checking in with people that you've met in this business, or whatever it is that brings you joy. If it's Happy Mail or the way that you package your customer orders, don't lose sight of that as well, because you can't get too far away from what you love, or else you'll question why you do it in the first place. So that's all I wanted to say.
No, 1000% valid. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, authenticity, core value, being real here. Okay, so tonight's topic is a little bit different. I know that personally, I've had several people come to me recently with this similar questions around this area. And so tonight it's going to sound super exciting. Wait for it. We're going to talk about the Workstation, and we're going to talk about your newsletter that goes out. That's a free benefit with your monthly website fee. That maybe a lot of people don't know you can customize that. Also some other tips and tricks for your Workstation, which I know that doesn't sound super exciting, but I had a lead consultant reach out to me just last week, and she didn't realize how to pull her team reports to even know how to contact her team. She's like, I can see it growing, but I don't even know where to look for this, or, where do I find X, Y, or Z? So if there's something specific that you feel like you need for your Workstation, or you have a question about, you can drop that over in the chat. If you have a second device that maybe you can pull your Workstation up on and follow along, you can do that also. There's going to be some things that are going to really be hard for us to illustrate for you, because we do not have a mock Workstation to show you. All we have is what we personally use every single day. And so if we share our screen and show you that, then you see other people's numbers, information, and stuff that we can't share. So do keep that in mind, but we do want to touch on some of these things, maybe some ways that we enhance our newsletter experience, different reports that are important to us, and things like that, so that you can have that as you're building a team and growing your business. So first things first, let's start with the newsletter. I'm just going to break down the basics of that really quickly. So if you didn't know, every time you put a customer into your Workstation, or anytime they go on your personal website and they order and they have their email address, they have the option to enroll for the monthly e-newsletter. And that is a service that comes along with your personal website. If you were a team member, do not have a personal website, then they don't get this advantage. So that's another benefit to having that. and plus it's a tax write-off, right? So every single month, Scentsy will send out that e-newsletter with the happenings that are happening for said month. And there's a time frame towards the beginning of the month where you can go in and edit that. And you'll notice that on your workstation, there's actually a little header across the top that says, hey, it's time to update your newsletter. And that's your reminder to go in and do so. And so basically all you have to do is you click the communications tab on the left-hand side of your workstation. And then you would be able to, I can actually share this part because, well, there's nobody's information. Wait, I don't know what screen. Do you guys see my workstation? Which screen did I share? Let's stop that. If you were seeing me and mom, that way we're working on something else earlier. Okay, this one. Let's do this one. All right, so in the workstation, you click communications and then you're here and you can actually click newsletter. When you click the newsletter, right now, you're not going to go ahead and be able to edit it. And we're not gonna be able to actually show you that because we are looking at, it's not the time frame to do so. This will be the first week of June for you guys, but you can actually go through and look at these past ones, look at the statistics for them, what was opened, what was clicked, like if there was clicks, the percentages for that. So you can actually kind of see, okay, who's reading my newsletter? Am I providing any valuable content? You know, those types of things. You can go in and put different tips in there. Really it's completely up to you. It's completely editable. Something that I thought about today that I hadn't thought about before, and now I'm not seeing it, but I saved it there. So I don't know. I will tell you this. The only reason that I come into this tab is to use the newsletter function because I don't believe that Scentsy is an email company. This whole communications tab really sucks other than the newsletter feature because I don't feel like it's reliable half of the time, to be honest, but I also know that people are getting my newsletter. So I don't really know how that works, but other than that, I don't come in here. So one of the things that I even mentioned to some of the girls earlier is when you come in here, there's some key things that I would always recommend putting in there. You could put information for how to get to follow you on social media. You can put information in there to join your VIP lounge. You could put information there if you are doing anything special within your business, you can put that in there because that's a one-to-one communication. If you have a host special, you can put your host special information in there because again, it's a one-to-one communication. So all of those things that you might do in your business, you can add in there. Another thing is you can't put images. And so if you wanted to go ahead and maybe it was an image that you created or a graphic or whatever, you could go and create a link for that. And then you could put that link in there. And when they click it, they could go. And you might be thinking, okay, how do I create a link for something? This is why if you followed us in the monthly movement or anything like that, we really utilize Dropbox because anything that you put into Dropbox, you automatically get a link for. Or you can, Google Drive, I know does that also, but I feel like Google Drive has weird settings that allow access and things like that. And it just kind of is messy. So that's why we really utilize Dropbox. So you could go do that, put the link into your e-newsletter, and now you can share with them anything that you would like. Does anybody have any tips or anything they want to add along the newsletter lines? Was there, Heather?
I had someone come upstairs, so I'm not sure if you covered this or not, but in the newsletter, when you can see who opened what particular category. So that's where you'd want to find out, okay, this person clicked on the join link or the join information, and you can reach out to them individually and start a conversation about that. Or maybe it was about the warmer and scent of the month or whatever. So find out what they've uniquely clicked on, and you can find a way to naturally reach out. I wouldn't just say, hey, I saw you clicked on this in my newsletter. I'd probably find some better verbiage for that. But that's a very, very helpful tool. And like Kelly said, other than, that context have kind of been a little bit messy, the newsletter functionality is really, really helpful and beneficial.
I'm going to add something. Never have I ever. Can you guys guess what I'm going to say? In my almost 13 years with Scentsy, I have never changed my newsletter. The newsletter that Scentsy creates is what goes out. So if you're feeling stressed out, like you haven't done it, it's on my list of things that I want to do. I want to go in and create something really great and say, hey, my family loves you, blah, 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 blah. Here's a special for this. I've always wanted to do it, but I've never done it. So if you haven't, it's okay. But if you have, you rock.
Yeah. We actually FaceTimed Callie earlier and said, I'm afraid I'm not gonna be able to help with this training call because I've never done this.
That's so crazy. Like I change mine every single month, and I put a reminder in my Google Calendar an alarm. Actually, I put an alarm on my phone or on one of them, and it pops up, and I just go in and put not really like promos and stuff, more like Jen said, like just a sweet letter, usually from me every month, saying like things that I love, things that I think that they'd love, how I love Sand Swept this month, and it smells like a resort. Like I kind of do the comparison, and then a lot of times I add every time I add the link to my Instagram account, because that's where they can see my openings and unboxings and all those things. And that's where I want to get more of my customers, because that's where I am every single day. But don't stress about what the content is. If anything, make it what are your 5 favorite products this month? You know, you can do a little promo thing, but then just a letter, you know, of appreciation and where they can find you and what your favorite things are. It can be super simple, but I write it like I'm writing to my best friend. And so, you know, instead of it sounding salesy, more like a quick love note to my favorite customers.
And if you guys got, like, I just think of all the ways that you could really make this like yours. I'm thinking, I remember, so the newsletters that Heather does back in the day, probably before she even shared them in the monthly movement interactive in April, she used to put a fun like recipe on there, right? Like you could kind of find a way to put your own spin on that people are excited to open it. Maybe there was one star director a while back. She was all about like cleaning and organizing tips. Oh, see, look, Heather's right there with a recipe. Like I was always excited to like look and see what Heather's recipe was on the email, the newsletter that we actually mailed out. But you could put something like that in there. Maybe you're good at organization. Maybe you have summer tips or barbecue, who knows, right? But you could find ways to make it your own. Maybe you say, hey, if you do monthly, why my brain is not working. I am freezing. I actually messaged the girls. I'm like, I am shaking and freezing. My basement is so cold. So I'm like focused on the fact that I'm freezing. So you could, if you do monthly mystery boxes, like you create your own, you could highlight the previous month and you could say, hey, last month's box was this. If you've missed signing up for them, right? This is an opportunity for anything that you personally do in your business. Not saying it has to be all of these things, but whatever you personally do in your business, it's an opportunity to add that in as another layer to share that, because you just don't, and I say this a lot within my personal business, everybody has a different love language. Everybody has something that touches them differently. And so, well, I don't want you to get overwhelmed with like, oh my gosh, I don't do that. Like Jen said, I've wanted to do it for so many years, but it just hasn't been my priority. For some of you, this might be the game changer that like mystery boxes is for one, that completely changes that. So making it your own, finding a way to add fun tips that are specific to you and provide content and value will then help that following. You could also say, hey, did you get my e-newsletter? What did you think about it? If you have a VIP group or whatever, there's all different ways that you can tie this into your business. Every month. Nicole, I love that. Absolutely. Okay, so the next thing was moving into reports and kind of into your workstation and things like that. Does anybody want to take the lead on that? Or where are you guys at? Anybody?
It's probably not Heather, because I'm really not a reports kind of gal.
Well, how many of you know how to run a report? Like, okay, let's start here. Let's start here by show of hands, although I can only see the first 25 on my screen. So you know that you go to the performance tab. That's how you view your downline. That's how you view your downline's numbers, right? Now, a lot of you probably use the team tab, and so Callie's saying no. So I like the team tab because it gives me, and Lynn's agreeing with me. So at least I'm not totally crazy, but I like the team tab because I can sort it by 2 things. I can see my top sales at any point of the month, my top 10, and my top sponsors at any given time of the month. So that is very helpful. And I find that a lot of my team members use that to find out it's like a quick view of PRV and to see who the top sellers, top recruiters are. But to see your entire downline, which for us, we kind of think everybody knows this information, but like Heather said, even she is like, reports, and so what kinds of information can you find in, and I don't know am I overstepping what somebody was going to talk about?
No, I think it's good, because here's the deal. And I just want to say this before you go, and I'm probably not going to talk the rest of the call. I'm not a numbers person. Like, I have to have Callie run my reports to tell me what I'm looking at because I'm not number savvy. However, over the years between Callie and Melissa both, Melissa is an Excel guru. And so the combination of the two and what I've learned over the years is that the reports and the value of what is at your workstation is priceless. Like it tells you your entire organization and where you need to go. And so I want to learn it and I know I need to be better at it. So if you're like me and not a numbers person, just take some notes and do one or two things and try to attack it because it really has a lot of value in it.
And the other thing I want to add on to that too, before Melissa dives into it, because the reporting tab, like Heather said, has so much information. There are also multiple ways to get that information. Like Callie and I might run the same report to get the same information, but how we go about getting that information from the reporting tab might be a little bit different. I don't use the team tab like Melissa does. I go about things a little bit differently. So keep that in mind. There are other ways that you can run a report and get the same type of information. Play around with it. And Melissa is, I think Melissa should take the helm on this too. She is really good at doing this. So take it away, Melissa.
Well, thank you guys. Now that you talked me up and I don't even know that I can deliver, but reporting is, gosh, we could talk about it. Well, we could talk about it a ton, but it's hard without being able to show. And like Callie said at the beginning, we don't have a test workstation. And so it's really hard when you're trying to do reports training and performance report training when you don't have a, goodbye, are you leaving? Are you just now leaving? Okay. Okay, bye. When you don't have a mock workstation or I guess we could, love you, bye. What we could do is do a lesson on Excel and plug fake information in. And we could do that on like a future, like an after shift call. Anybody that wanted to see just some basic, Excel, like how do you add the columns and what are you looking for when you're looking at reports? Because a lot of people will say, I know how to run the reports, but I don't know what I'm looking for. And that's probably the biggest thing that I hear is it's either I don't know how to run them or I run them, but what am I looking for? What patterns am I looking for? Or what am how do I find who I should be looking at in my downline to see who's emerging? And if you have 10 consultants on your team, it's probably pretty easy to look at your report and be like, okay, well, I know who my 10, I know who is my movers and shakers. I know who makes things happen. But you have a team of 30 or 40. I remember when I got to, come on. I remember when I got to a team of 63 and come on. So we have friends over for dinner and they're standing in my office doorway, putting my Cabbage Patch from when I was 5 up against the office door. And it's the one that has the headgear, like mouth gear, and it keeps peeking around the corner at me. And so I'm sorry, I don't do well with distraction. So, but I remember when I got to my team being 63 and I thought I sped out of control. It's when I thought I lost connection. I thought I lost my view into what everybody was doing. And so that's when it became really important to understand how to look for trends and how to look for data when running the report. Because not just when you run the performance report, that gives you a snapshot by default of what you're looking for. Join date, I think birthday is in there, PRV, TWV. If you don't know what these acronyms are, there is a glossary of acronym terms on the workstation. But it gives us just a snapshot. And a lot of times I find I want more information than just what's on that snapshot in the performance report. And a lot of people didn't know that also, that they thought, or other consultants thought, that when they ran the performance report, that the only thing they could find is what appeared on the screen. Well, that isn't the case, because if you add, there's a section that says choose visible columns. And if you choose that and you add all columns, your report on your screen is going to look ugly. You're not going to be able to read a single thing on it. But when you hit export to Excel, it pulls all the information like lifetime PRV and when they hit their 70th day, even going back to consultants that have already hit their 70th day. And it's their shipping address and their primary address and who their enroller is and who their current sponsor is and who their director is and who their star director is. Like there's a plethora of information that a lot of people don't even know exists, because if you don't choose the visible columns on your screen, you don't know what's available to see. And so a lot of times, and I'd say probably 90% of the time, I export my report to Excel so that I can manipulate the data. And that's where we would have an after, like an after shift one night when I have time to prepare it, and just show some basics on Excel, because you can add columns. I calculate my commission every single month. I actually calculate my commission like 5 times a month. And I keep that in a spreadsheet and it goes all the way back for as long as I've been doing it. So probably like 8 or 9 years. And I have reference points that I can look back and be like, okay, the 15th of the month last year, when I figured out my commission, I'm tracking ahead of that. And so, again, though, I'm a numbers person. I like data like this. I like looking at data. A lot of more consultants than not just aren't interested in numbers, basically are like, just tell me who I need to pay attention to, or tell me what I should be looking for. Tell me what information that I want. So to tell you a few of the things that you can, I love the little swap. Look, Heather Gorsuch just got long brown hair. JP. You can run a sensational start report. Or a sensational start shooting star report. You also have the ability to save reports. If you have a report that you run all the time, every month or a couple times a month, you have the ability to set those parameters and save that report so that you can go in, and if you're looking for lifetime PRV and you always want to run, I don't know that would be a good saved report, but anyway, if there's something that you look for on a recurring basis, you could go in and save that report. And so is there anything, I guess I probably would do better if you asked any questions regarding reporting, or if you told me something that you might be looking for when you're looking at reports, so that I might be better at fielding actual questions that you might have.
Other things that, go ahead, Jen.
No, I was just going to say that I just want you guys to know that you can't mess up your workstation.
Nope.
So I pull reports, multiple reports every day. I'm a super numbers person too. And you just play with it. It's never going to mess it up. Do that downline report and then go to the top and just filter, like click on it, and it'll do highest to lowest for every single column. And there's so much great information there. And then, so go ahead, ask Melissa your question.
You're good. I was also going to add, so something I felt like was important to like touch on in this topic, and it actually came, it was even before what happened today. There was a situation today with a team member, and there's some things I feel like even some top leaders don't know what the difference is here. So first of all, if you ever get into your performance tab, you just basically click reporting, performance overview, and then you can start a downline report or you can start a leadership report. Most of you, it will take some time before you get to what the difference is between a leadership report and a downline report. But a leadership report is going to show you everybody that is in your team, if you're a director and above, your team and any directors you have under you. And a downline is your entire group. So everybody that's in your entire team or group. And it shows everybody. But then there's 2 other words that I feel like a lot of times we don't know the difference between. And the first one is level and the second one is generation. So level that means if I'm a 0 because I am ground 0, I am the first person. Jen is actually my level 1 because my mom and I sponsored Jen. So Jen is our level 1. And now Jill is actually our level 2 because Jill is under Jen. Now, originally it was Jen, then like 3 other people, and then Jill, right? Or 2 other people. And so, or 1 other person. And so Jill would be a level 3. And then when that person left, now she's a 2. So that's kind of how the levels work. Where does generation come into play? Generation comes into play when you have levels of director and above. So for instance, Jen is my level 1 and a generation 1, which isn't always the case. And Jill is a level 2 and a generation 2. But originally she could have, since there was another person between Jen and Jill could have been a level 3, but a generation 2 director. Okay. So that's kind of where that difference between generation and level comes into play. Now, here's something else that a lot of people don't recognize. And this is the situation that I was kind of working with today with another leader was, we have within my division, meaning I am their superstar director, we have over 10 generations of consultants. So between like Sunny, for instance, I'm seeing her over here in the bottom. I think I was just looking at Sunny today, and she is like a 1, 2, 3, 4th generation director to me, but she could be like an 8th level consultant to me in our group. So as a leadership, even though you're superstar director, and this is for everybody, because a lot of times you may say, oh, well, this person's my superstar director, but I don't hear from them, or they don't do X, Y, and Z for me, or whatever that case may be. As a leader, you will only get paid through generation 3. We only get paid or earn on anybody through our 3rd generations. So if you are ever seeing that or comparing yourself to other people within your groups or within your teams or your organizations, I think that's something really important to recognize. And I know it's not all about money, and I know it's not all about what you get paid on and what you don't. It's not the point of that. But just understand that you may not realize where you fall. You could have somebody as your superstar director, but you have 5, 6, 7 levels of people, plus maybe 4 or 5 generations of people between you and your superstar director. And that's important to be aware of. I thought I knew what I was doing until this conversation. See, and Nicole's a director, so that's awesome. That was helpful. So, and I have a lot of like superstar directors, even sometimes that will come and they'll be like, okay, I don't understand this. Will you break this down for me? Because it can be confusing, but when you start to learn those things and you understand it, you can be like, oh, that makes a little bit more sense. And if you don't know where you fall in line with your leaders, you can always ask them, and they're more than happy to tell you. So I haven't seen any questions pop in the chat. Is there a specific report or anything that you would like? You have a question
Kelly.
about, or something you'd like to know? Oh, Jody, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm going to be asking about contacts actually, which is not in the reporting tab necessarily, but it would be maybe helpful if we could show them how to merge their duplicates. Yeah. Is anybody comfortable showing that? Again, it's hard
happy to, but I don't feel like it genuinely works. So I don't want to show you because I don't feel like it works.
It does work if they're not a PWS. They don't have an account. If they haven't created an account, excuse me, if they have created an account, then sometimes you can't merge the duplicates. That's the only time it doesn't work. So I don't have excuse me, I don't have a laptop in front of me. The workstation is not up, so I don't want to mess it up by telling you. But if you go into your, sorry, I have the hiccups.
You're good. I can walk them through it. So
you can actually run it.
Oh, Roger. I mean, it's pretty easy. Once you click your contacts tab, there is a merge duplicates on the left-hand side, and then you select what filter you would like to duplicate for. I always do email because I feel like email is the most like unique identifier. If I do names, I could have 2 customers with the same names after over 13 years. So for me, email is always the best, and you click proceed, and it's supposed to duplicate them. It's like, that's how simple it is.
Well, you have to, what you need to do when you're looking at that, say you have 4 people that are coming up with the same email, you want to make sure you take the most recent and the one that has the most information, right? And there's something else I look at, and because it's not in front of me, I can't think of what it is. You have to say there's 4 contacts, right? And then you have to make sure you have a check in one of them. That will be your primary contact, and it'll take the information from the other 3 and merge it. So whatever has the most information, if they have their birthday, their mailing address, their phone number, all of that, you want to make sure that that's your primary contact, and it'll take whatever it can from the other ones and put it together and make one contact. So it is very, very simple when you're looking at it. And again, it won't merge them. Last I knew, it won't merge them if they have a PWS account. I don't know why. So I hope that answered the question.
Customer service told me the other day that duplicate accounts can't be merged if there are past orders on both accounts. So here's what I will say.
That is
100%. Amy, we've talked about Amy a lot, about more inactive in April. Amy is the way to go for customer management. I've had conversations with multiple people at the home office about the contacts tab, and just the fact that it doesn't really work great. So this is also a time where you can actually go into your contacts tab. You can choose visible columns. You can add all, and this might be where Melissa comes into super helpfulness down the road, is you can export that again to Excel. And then you could use Excel's features and functionalities to be able to do those things. And then you save it. That also gives you files that you can then use for mail merge. If you wanted to like create a mail merge and email or do a mailing of all different people from your contacts tab, you could get all of their email addresses and copy and paste those and use your own email system. So really, I know me personally, and I think I saw Jackie Duran mention earlier, she's like, I use Excel for everything. I will tell you, I export an Excel spreadsheet with all columns all the time, and I do all of my reporting in Excel. So if you didn't know that that was possible and you like Excel, I would say 100% run with that. And if you don't know Excel, if you have the opportunity to ever take a crash course on it, I would do it.
Well, and here's the thing, you're going to hear us talking about I do this and I do that and I do this reporting. And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm totally inadequate because I don't do any of that. And that is not the case either. It's just a very, everybody has kind of a different level of what they want to learn and what's available and what you already know or don't know. But let me go through just a couple things that came in on the chat. And, okay. Oh, hold on though.
I want to answer Dorothea's question really quick. She said, so, oh, wow, if you're not getting paid off of them, then where is that money going? There's people under me that are a second or third, that those people are their first, second, and thirds that they're getting paid off of.
Yep. Okay. Level versus generation. I thought I knew what I was doing until this conversation came up. So your generation has to do with directors. So if you have, so let's say like I have 3 directors under me, okay? And it goes me, then Callie, then Jen, then Jill. So me to Callie is my first generation director. Jen's under Callie as a director, and this is all hypothetical, okay? Although they are actually all under each other. But
I think
and they're under me. They're totally under me too. I wish. So so Callie would be my first generation director. Jen, who is under Callie, would be my second generation director. And Jill, who's under Jen, who's under Callie, is my third generation director. Now, where do levels come into play? So a level 1 consultant would be if Callie was my frontline, but not, well, he could be my director and my level 1 because she's my frontline and my first generation director. Confusing? Clear as mud. Here's the deal. Level is how many down they are from you. That's it. It doesn't matter. Like if Jill is 3 down from me, Jill is my third level. Right? But that's within my team. Now I'm talking about it and confusing myself.
No, we actually just did this while you stepped out of the room, but it is fun to hear you say it.
Damn it.
And we actually use me, Jen, and Jill as the example.
You guys, this is like, forget it, I'm muted.
Right. But let's say it was Melissa, and then actually Jamie was my sponsor, but she wasn't a director. And then it was me and I was a director. So Melissa would be 1, Jamie would be 2, I would be 3, and that's levels. But because I'm a director, Jamie's not, and Melissa is, I would be Melissa's first generation director, and Jen would be the 2, even though she would be like a 3rd level or 4th level. So that's the difference. Levels are how many people, and generations is how many directors. So there was a mention of the bar report. Can you mention the bar report? So if you are on, go ahead, Melissa.
No. Go.
Okay, so if you go on your workstation and you click reporting and sales report, the sales report column will actually come, we talked about, and we kind of mentioned the sales reporting area last week when we talked about Bring Back My Bar, because this is also where you can get your Bring Back My Bar or promotional reports. But there's one that's called Business Analysis Report, and it's seeing details of your business year over year and how you're growing. And so that's what BAR stands for, BAR, Business Analysis Report. And we can actually go back through, mine shows back through 2017, month by month, PRV, team wholesale volume, group wholesale volume, how many active frontline you had, and it goes through all sorts of crazy information, including what your paycheck was, what you earned. And so that I think is very helpful to help you understand, like, am I growing? Am I not? Where have I been and how have I evolved? So that is what the bar report is. If there's another question around the bar report, please clarify that. But yeah. What were you gonna say, Melissa? Nothing?
You said it.
Oh, I said it. Okay, sorry. I apologize. Is there any questions that we can cover? We're reading through, Melissa's painstakingly reading through the chat. Jill, so you say it's actually not confusing for me at all. Like, it is zero, there's zero confusion. I love numbers. I love reports. I love Excel. Heather.
Yeah, I have a question. So if there is like, okay, let's say someone just joined and they're hearing all of this, what I feel like I just heard Italian, Spanish, and French got hit by a bus. And that's what I'm just hearing on this conversation, all of it. So I want to just knock it down just a second. If there's a new consultant right now, what kind of report should they be running? And they have no team members yet. What's a valuable report for them to run?
If I just joined today?
Or in the past week or two? Like,
there wouldn't be one because they have no history to pull.
Yeah, they would just use the dashboard.
On the what?
I would just tell them to focus on their dashboard. Yeah, their own numbers.
Okay, so they're looking at the dashboard following the shooting star.
Their checklist.
Your first things first checklist.
Make sure you're entering your contacts so that you will have history to go back and follow up with.
Good call, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah, full contact information.
Because my information from when I
and they can track their shooting star.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good point. Is and this is a little all over the place because the workstation is a beast. Is contact information, email address is always something that, and no matter what level you are, you always want to be putting email address in, because that is what's called a unique identifier. And so that is a way that that e-newsletter that we talked about at the beginning, you need that for that to go out, right? For you for marketing as a new consultant. But then also once you promote to lead, and we're not going to get into the details fully around it, but once you get to lead, that's actually when you show up on Scentsy.com when there's somebody that doesn't have a consultant. And if they have shopped with you before, then if their email address was entered, you automatically, that order goes towards you. So that's why that is actually super duper duper important. What if you join in October? If you don't have a team quite yet, then what you would be referencing and looking at is you could use your customer reports. It will basically tell you what your customers have ordered and things like that. That comes in handy with kind of what we discussed last week with the Bring Back My Bar report, and be able to look at what people have purchased in the past. So that would be one for you guys. And then and then just referring back, like if you're a goal setter, then you can click reporting and view my performance. And that will show you your current month's performance, like currently what's happening in your business. And then above that, you can choose, it says period, but period equals month. And so you could go back and you could say, okay, what did I do in April? And that will shift, and that will show you what your business looked like in the month of April. So if you're like, okay, my goal is to be, just slightly better than April, that's how you can go back and reference that. So reporting, view performance, and then that takes you to that overview of where you have been month after month.
Yeah, I'm with Callie on the customer reports. If you just joined in October and you, like Jamie said, you're collecting, it's so important for every customer to at least get at one time the name, their mailing address, their phone number, and their email. All you have to do is put it in one time, and the system will recognize them and keep it in there forever, because that way, if they ever forget your website or they go on the locator to try to find you once you hit lead consultant, like Callie said, Scentsy going to link it up with you, because they're like, this is her consultant. She's been buying from her or him. And so it's protecting your own customer base, right? So you want to really make sure that you are collecting that information. And if you don't have a team yet, this is when it's really good. And I wish I would have done this from the beginning, you guys. I wish I would have collected my customers' birth dates and put them in there. There's a note section under each customer where I could have put like loves Rockin' Ruby Raz, like, or has 4 kids, her son was in the hospital in December. Those are the small details that you should be making notes on people every time you have a conversation or you see online, because that's what's going to deepen your relationship with people. So if you don't have a team member yet, use the features of just collecting really good data on your customers, honestly.
Yeah, my first 5 years probably of customers is a hot mess. And don't put everybody under your name or you're going to have 7,200 Jamie Pilchers and Callie Smiths and Melissa Gratz. Don't put them all under you. Just absolutely don't, because you're going to have 11 of them, and that is annoying.
Yeah, keep an organized business. Really put the items that they are buying for real under them, because it protects their warranty. It helps locate their products. So there is that's the easy kind of reports I know how to run are that's all I know how to do in my business. Cause I get very confused by numbers. Like it really confuses me bad.
So I'm going to share my workstation. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. I bet you're going to cover it.
No, so I just saw Sunny say what? Nope. So I'm just going to show you this. So I am in the contacts tab. I am under a customer. I don't think it's a valid one because its name is AAA. So we're going to something anonymous. And so this is what that kind of looks like. So if you come up here and you click edit info, you can now come in and edit all of this information for said customer. And you'll see here that there is a note section. So if you type in exactly what Heather was just mentioning, you could put that there. You could put their birthday in. You could put how they prefer to be communicated with. All of that information. This person is still getting an e-newsletter because they are subscribed for that. And you can you can see if they've opted out, if they're a PWS shopper. There's all sorts of things and information that you can get and mark from that information so that you can go back and reference it. So that is, and now it wants me to put all the information in to save it, but that's how you would go in and add those notes and be able to save it. Was that the question you were going to answer, Jody?
No, Tina was asking about how you see on the customer newsletter, how do you actually see what they clicked on? And when you go into the context tab and click on newsletter, it says something, and I don't have it in front of me, Callie.
I'll show you.
And you can click on, it'll say like join, and it'll give a number next to it, or warmer of the month, and it'll give a number next to that. And you just click on those little links, if I'm explaining it properly.
Okay,
it's
so
so hard when it's not in front of me.
Not contacts, right?
Sorry, communication. Thank you.
And then, so I'm currently like, let's say, I think you could even go back and pull like February, for example, and it will show you how many emails were sent, how many were delivered, what failed, what percentage, all these things. But when you click on total clicks, that's when, and again, I'm showing all this information, but it'll kind of tell you on what link. So form, they viewed my catalog, right? So it will tell you what they did.
At that point, you could say, hey, I saw you were interested in the catalog. Did you have any questions about it? Something like that,
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something else I was going to mention, and now I can't.
Warmer of the month, they clicked on buddies. They clicked on, there's one that opted out. So you can see who opted out of that month from your e-newsletter. All of that information is there.
I wish I could remember what else. There was something else I was going to add to that, and I just lost it. Your workstation is a business tool, you guys. It's full of information. It's full of opportunity and potential to help create more business. Just maximize its usefulness. There's a lot to it.
And I think if anybody is feeling like any overwhelm or any like, oh my gosh, I just don't know what we just talked about for the last hour, I think what it's important is now you have several ideas of what is capable within your workstation, and maybe it's jogged some different questions as to what you maybe need to look into more, or, okay, I really want to look into my contacts tab. What can I do when I click and I play with a contact? What can I do with my e-newsletter? What information can I see? And literally, like Jen said, going in and playing with it, because you cannot break it. Unless you put a credit card number in and you hit submit, you aren't going to get charged anything. Nothing is going to be changed. You literally cannot break your workstation.
I think we could talk about this for a long time.
Oh, totally.
There's a lot to it, you guys. Just go in and play around with it and take trainings. There's trainings already in your workstation, and some of them are just like 2-minute long videos that will break down a specific type of report.
I did see somebody say it's not user friendly on a cell phone. Absolutely not. I will tell you that the majority of these reports will not be friendly on your cell phone at all. It's definitely a desktop situation.
I don't know if it got answered, but somebody did ask if there's a way to view year over year on the reports, and it depends on the information that you're looking for. Jody, did you want to say something?
No, but that reminded me of what my thing was. I was going to say, can someone show them how to click on like May to May and pull up one lump? That's what I was going to talk about.
So that's twofold. Depends on the information that you're looking for. Year over year, there is a financial trend graph that appears in your team tab. And then if you did want to view year over year exact, then you could run like.
I think I can show this without showing my workstation fully. Okay. So we're going to cross our fingers and pray to Jesus. All right. So here we are. We are in, I went to the reporting tab. You can see my thing here, home, reporting, performance overview. And then I did a start downline report. Okay. So up here at the top where it says May 2021, I can click that. So for example, let's say we wanted to look for like annual sales and annual mentor, like annual mentor, you really can't run, but annual sales, it goes from April, from May of the previous year through April 31st. So if it's hard to explain it, right? So I clicked April, then on my keyboard, I hold shift. That's a lie. I scroll because we just do this and you don't even almost think about it. So you scroll to where you can see the month you want to go through. You hold your shift key and then you click it. And you'll notice that all of those are now selected and they're purple. I close that and I hit run report. When I click run report, the results that I'm going to see below down here, you know what I could have done? I could have added all comments. What I'm going to see down here is going to be a combination of all of these things.
Yep.
That's how you would run it.
So that adds everything together. So if I showed up on that sheet with my 1,132 recruits for the year, then they would all be added together. Now, that's like Callie said, if you wanted to like see for annual sales, what the cumulative PRV is a running total. But I think Heather's question also could go the other way, and it's you're comparing like April of 2020 to April of 2021. There isn't a way to view that information unless you pulled the report for April of 2020, exported it into Excel and saved it. Then exported on your workstation April of 2021, run that report, export it to Excel, save it, pull it up on your screen as a side by side. And that's how you could combine or compare year over year. It is always a super helpful tip to save your, at least one time a month, save your downline report to your computer at the end of the month. Because if consultants fall off, you won't have access to their information, but you will if you save a report every month. And so I just have a folder on my computer where I save, and it's just the year is the folder. And in that folder, there's 12 folders, one for each month. And I just save my downline report, which is different than the worksheet that I save where I do my commission 4 times a month. But, you know, everybody keeps track of things a little bit differently. But so, and we could talk about this. There's a million questions. Everybody wants to know exactly how it applies to them or what they might be looking for. So even if you think of something, we can always, put together a list of those questions if you send them to us and try to tackle those. So cool. Okay.
Yeah, so we're kind of gonna leave it there. There's a question, what is Melissa's Excel class for Sensi Consultants gonna be? We're gonna have to figure that out. And you're muted.
We can make one. We can totally make one. I would do that.
Because
Yeah,
we
you
can
guys are
actually
giving me thumbs up.
we can delete names, right? So that's the good thing. We can delete personal information from an Excel sheet. So we can actually show you based off of like, I could pull, for example, this is not what I'm gonna do, but I could pull Lynn's downline report, change all the names out and have a variety of different things. I was also going to say, I just printed somebody's stuff today and I just ripped off the names that I was kind of going to try and show you guys, but that's probably a little difficult. So that's something that we could also do. Like, how do you calculate checks? So when you're like, oh, I want to know, that's what this was today for a team member was, what am I going to get paid this month? I was able to go ahead and calculate that for that. Cause I think that's also a question that a lot of people don't know how to.
And you guys, my fellow leaders, I throw my hat in the ring. I will do that whenever. I have no problem giving an Excel class, just a general basic, just to kind of give you an idea on how to, it appears we have some interest. And so, yes, I will do that. If we want to do it outside of the shift time, that's fine too.
Okay.
We can chat and plan and
we'll discuss it, we'll get that communicated. But again, we know this is a heavy topic. We know that it's a lot, like said, multiple times. We could talk about this all night long. There's lots of different ways. There's lots of different things. So please just know that while we may have left you with lots of questions, you can always reach out. You can ask your sponsor, you can ask your directors, different things like that to get further information. Take the different trainings in your workstation. Those are all available for you also. We are going to end because, oh, go ahead, Melissa. I saw the face.
Well, Jamie's question. Look at your chat.
BINGO and win some prizes.
Okay, never mind.
So we are going to end Thursday night shift. So thank you for joining Thursday night shift. We're going to stop that recording. I hope you had a wonderful night.